Hi, welcome in Teaching Media class. So for today, we will discuss instructional media delivery for distance learning. Okay, there are many ways to deliver material in teaching and learning process. The first one is asynchronous web-based instructions. If we talk about asynchronous web-based instructions, it needs internet access because the materials are delivered over the internet or private local area network. So it has high resolution images and video, but it may be affected due to available bandwidth. For example, you watch a video in YouTube related to certain materials in teaching and learning process. This is the example of asynchronous web-based instruction. The strength of asynchronous web-based instruction is first, it is consistent delivery to widely dispersed and large audience. So it is easy to share the material for large audiences. The second one, incorporate many of the features of CBI. And the last one, content and testing can be integrated with a learning management system or LMS. Like what we have in our campus, we have Siakat, we have EdLink. This is kind of learning management system or LMS. So asynchronous web-based instruction here is easy to be integrated with our LMS. However, the weakness is it is requiring internet connectivity. So without internet connectivity, you cannot access the material that was shared. And the asynchronous web-based instruction here is appropriate to be used for narrations or descriptions, demonstrations, simulations, illustration, drill and practice, tutorial, case study, modeling, and role-playing. So those are the appropriate instructional strategies for asynchronous web-based instructions. Now for audio conferencing, this is not quite difficult to be understood. If we talk about conferencing, so we will interact with some people. In case this is audio, so we don't have like, for example, visual images and graphic to be used for audio conferencing. So this is only an audio in which students in different locations used telephone or audio conferencing equipment to communicate with each others in a real time. So there is real-time interaction. The strength of audio conferencing is valuable support technology if students need receive modification or updates to course content quickly. So if there is a changing material or update material, this is easy to update content quickly. And the second one is there is interactions with teachers. And the last one is online collaboration tools. However, the weakness is this is limited interactions. Why? Because this is only audio conferencing. There is no visual images and graphic used in audio conferencing. The audio conferencing is appropriate to be used for narrations or descriptions, discussions, and brainstorming. So this is quite limited than asynchronous web-based instructions. Okay, now the audiographic electronic whiteboard. So the audiographic combines audio conferencing with personal computer text and graphics. It is allowing both voice and data to be transmitted to remote site. In Google Meets, we have audiographic or electronic whiteboard to be used in teaching and learning process. For example, if you share the material, share screen the materials, then you still have interactions with the data. You explain by marking on the share screen to make it more understandable. The strength of audiographic or electronic whiteboard is transmit both voice and data. So this is more complete rather than audio conferencing because we have also the data. However, the weakness is still limited interactions. Well, the audiographics or electronic whiteboard here is appropriate to be used for narrations or descriptions, discussions, brainstorming, and illustration. Now, the computer-based instruction. So this is interactive instructional experience between a computer and the learner, where the computer provides the majority of the stimulus and the students respond. For example, in teaching listening, teacher used computer to deliver the material, to play the listening sections, for example. And also, the students receive the stimulus and give the response also by using a computer-based instructions. The strength of computer-based instructions, it is not affected by bandwidth. So this is different with the previous technology delivery. So the computer-based instruction of CBI here is not affected by bandwidth. It means we don't use internet access for CBI, and they display large amount of visual and oral informations. Whatever you want to share to your students is become easier because they display large amount of visual and oral informations in computer-based instructions. And the last one, cost of design and productions can be spread across large students' populations. However, the weaknesses is it is limited interactions because this is not two-way communications between teacher and students. And the second one is it requires to update hardware. Sometimes a certain computers didn't have compatible hardware or maybe software to be used to make a certain media. And the CBI here is appropriate to be used for narrations or descriptions, case study, role-playing, demonstrations, illustrations, simulations, drill and practice, and the last one is tutorial. Next is print. This is kind of the oldest media in distance learning. For example, books. However, the strength of using print, this is epitome of anytime, any place learning media. It means this is not difficult to be used. You can use it anytime, any place, and no bandwidth requirement. There is no internet access required to use this kind of media, and also provide inexpensive representations of static visuals. So you don't need any hardware in a computer to be used to make a certain media of print. However, the weaknesses is this is limited the number of instructional strategies. It requires a logistical infrastructure, and the last one is course update can be cumbersome and slow. So the fastest of informations will be from internet. So when you use print media like book, it is cumbersome and slow to update the informations. The print media is appropriate to be used for narrations or descriptions, drill and practice, and case study. So this is kind of limited things to be used in class. The next one is instructional television. Okay, we also use instructional televisions in class sometimes. If the class is completed by LED televisions like what we have in our class, so the material can be shared by playing or by showing the images, or it can be video or anything by using the televisions. So the strength, of course, it is interactive learning environment, and it allows to include video illustrations easily. The best thing is you don't need internet access in instructional televisions. However, the weaknesses is the cost for transmission and equipment maintenance. So this is not quite cheap to have like LED in one class, and the learners are constrained by time and space requirement. The nearest you sit in front of the televisions, the best visions you have to catch the material, to read or to understand the material. So it depends on the space you sit in class to have to get the visual of the material. Well, this is appropriate to be used for narrations or descriptions, or guided discussions, brainstorming, case study, role-playing, panel discussions, simulation, demonstrations, and the last one is drill and practice. The next one is recorded audio, tape or digital broadcast. It is part of blended learning approach. I think this is not quite difficult to be understood. Yeah, you record audio for teaching and learning process for the material. And what is the strength of recorded audio? First, you provide large amount of oral content. You can explain easily by recording the audio. And this is not expensive to distribute the media, to share the media. You can share it in WhatsApp or you can share it in LMS, Learning Management System, like what we have in EdLink and so on. However, the weakness is it lacks graphic or audio. It is quite similar with audio conferencing, because in recorded audio we don't present a visual thing, we don't present the graphics or images or video and so on. And the recorded audio is appropriate to be used for narrations or descriptions or case study. The next one is recorded video, tape or digital broadcast. It is quite more complicated than recorded audio because it supports high resolution images and videos. However, still, because this is tape or digital broadcast, so this is not synchronous interactive environment between instructor or teacher with students. The strength is it full motions video and high impact visual and self-pacing. But the weakness is still it is not updated because it lacks interactions between teacher and students. And the recorded video here is appropriate to be used for narrations or descriptions, case study and illustrations. Go on to another technology delivery is synchronous web-based instructions. Okay, so synchronous audio or web-based conferencing, text, chat, audio, video, document, and application sharing or whiteboards or presentation and others, it supports synchronous oral instructions. Yeah, because this is web-based instruction, it means it needs bandwidth, it needs internet access. It requires high-resolution images and video for sharing a material. The strengths and weaknesses of synchronous web-based instruction, it is quite different with the first one, asynchronous web-based instruction. So the synchronous here is real-time nature or live interactions. Like what we have in Zoom conference, we have real-time interactions. And this is flexible to be accessed from any computer-connected internet. Of course, it uses internet access. However, the weaknesses is it requires some level of computer experience and also bandwidth restrictions. The synchronous web-based instructions is appropriate to be used for narrations or descriptions, guided discussions, simulations, case study, demonstrations. So if we differentiate with the first technology delivery, asynchronous, the differences is if asynchronous, this is not real time, but in synchronous, we have real time or live interactions in sharing media. Hope you got the idea of asynchronous and synchronous web-based instructions. The last one is video teleconferencing. VTC systems are two-way communications systems that offer both audio and video from local and remote site, and it provides for synchronous instructions. Yep, because this is part of synchronous web-based instruction, so it gives real-time nature or live interactions, and also it providing immediate feedback because there is interactions between teacher and the students in conference. So for example, if students didn't understand with the material shared or with the material explained, he or she can ask to the teacher directly in the conference. Yep, still same the access problems because it requires internet access. Sometimes there is problem with the bandwidth. Well, that's all about instructional media delivery for distance learning. And now your task is in your EdLink, please mention your name and also your student's number. And please write down the difference between asynchronous web-based instructions and synchronous web-based instructions based on your understanding. Thank you for today, and I'll see you in the next material.